Well, hello everyone. Hey, I just wanted to share with you this beautiful morning that I'm sitting here painting a tiny painting. And this setup I had to share with you. I'm sitting here in my friend's backyard. We're getting ready to begin packing up and cleaning up our RV. But I needed to take a few moments before we got busy today because we're going to be taking off in less than a month. I'm super excited to have just a few minutes while he ran to the part store to do a little painting. And because of Leslie Stroz, I've been following her for just a few days now. I've set up this small painting palette area so that I can do these quick little paintings. Super easy. Everything will be in one place. And I'll do a video of how I've set up my Plein Air tote and bag. And I'm sure it'll change over time. But for now, I've taken many of her ideas and put them together. So I had a clipboard. I already had water brushes. My husband bought this beautiful palette for me. I think it might have been in New Mexico. It's handmade. And he bought it for me from an art gallery. And I've had this loaded and I've used it a lot, as you can see. Obviously, I had the rag to start with. The only thing I had to buy, and I had clips, is I had to purchase the metal ruler and the magnets so that it'll stay in place. See, I can put this at quite the angle and move it around in my hand, set it in my lap. I can hold it like a so. I can cradle it and paint this way. I mean, this is just such a fabulous quick setup that I never even thought of to make grabbing a few minutes here and there in our travels and everything else to be able to just sit down and paint for 10 or 15 minutes or sketch. And I am painting this beautiful little morning picture that I caught of my friend's chickens running around. And her dogwood tree is in bloom. It is so gorgeous. So I'm just sitting here on my back steps and looking out. I took the photo this morning and I did the sketch first thing this morning. I'm talking, it was like 7 o'clock. It's now probably going on about 9:30 or 10. And so I'm just stealing these few moments to go ahead and start this painting. Okay, now I have my first layer down, and I like to call this somewhat the ugly stage. It's not terrible, but this is just the basic colors laid down, and not unhappy with it so far. And I was able to make even these different shades. You see here, there's a brown and a brown in my palette. I don't have a dark brown in my wells, so I used just color mixing to come up with that darker brown. And I'll end up using that to darken up the trunk and, you know, work in some texture. And then I'll even deepen it further in order to darken up some of the dirt in the background of this little garden here. I've got this green made, and I'll make lighter and darker greens from that with these 12 colors that I have in here. And I'll keep you apprised. And I did mask the chicken out because the chicken that I took a picture of, as you saw, is a white chicken. So I wanted to mask that out and make sure that I didn't dull up those colors. Okay. So here I am using that dark brown to texturize this tree just a little bit because it looks so flat. So this way I'm getting just some life and movement into this tree by using this darker brown. Kind of hard to do this in the bright light, but I gotta be honest with you, it has been so rainy and ugly and nasty. I just really wanted to sit out in the sun and feel the sun, because I'm going to be inside doing quite a bit of work today, I think, unless I can sneak out. My husband gets super busy inside doing some of the things he's got to do for prepping the trailer. We're doing a descaling. I say we. I guess I have a mouse in my pocket. but we're just scaling the hot water tank. So he's gonna tear up my kitchen. So I might sneak away a little later and go for a little walk and take some pictures and do some things. I want that to be just a little darker and flatter. Too much, too much. Let's add some more green to that. A little bit more red, a bit more green, a little bit more blue. Let's get some more blue. There we go. That's gotten nice and dark. So I'm dipping into the French ultramarine to get the dark. So, and I'm just kind of giving some depth to the grasses and whatnot, so that there's some feeling in here. And you know what I need to do is I need to make that shadow. So that morning shadow, there was this, the way the sun hit, the shadow went right across where the chicken's at. So, and a lot of people like to use black to make shadow. And I want this to be really soft, so I'm adding a little bit more water. And the shadow of the tree went right through to here. It was pretty wide at the top. And then that tree, there was a shadow there. And I think I'm going to darken it just a little bit more under and around the chicken. See how that turns almost gray? So I'm wiping off paint because I wanted this to be quite a bit more light. Lighter back here. And then just kind of coming up to a point there. And it was pretty cool. All right. And remember, your paint is going to dry about 30% lighter than what you put down. I'm just adding some texture back there. And use some of the lighter greens. Put some grasses at the edge. Of this garden. And around the tree. So I'm mixing the lights and the darks in order to get some really great textures, so you can tell that this ground is quite uneven and not uniform. Just kind of sliding in some of the greens to make the textures. Hard to hold my camera while I'm doing this, I'm gonna be honest with you. Do a little blending, and this is wet on dry. That is the technique that I'm using here. And I'm a pretty heavy duty wet on wet gal, so doing it like this is somewhat unique for me. And with the sun shining right on it, oh, it's not easy, but I think I'm liking it. Some of that darker texture back here in the dirt. And I used my pen, my Micron 0.1 pen, 0.01, to do the sketching. I did it in pencil first, and then I did it in with over the top of it with the pen. Okay. So now to tackle this dogwood. It's super light. It's a very pinky colored dogwood. And this dogwood is super pale in this picture because the only pink kind of color I have is magenta, and I have red. But what I'm going to do is I'm taking that magenta. I got to make a point out of my brush. And I'm going to go back over it just to deepen some of these dogwood blooms. And trying to maintain some of the light behind it so that it depicts the luminescent morning. I mean, it was so bright this morning. It was incredible. Look how little paint goes such a long way. And this is a fairly new dogwood, so it does not have a huge, what do they call that, canopy? It doesn't have a super huge canopy. Now, dogwoods have almost like a salmony color to it, so I'm going to add just a touch of yellow. This is New Gamboge to it, and see how that makes it a little peachy. Okay, I'm going to add just a little too much. There we go. Until I find the color blend that I like. Yeah, I like that. So that's going to do kind of the underside, backside of, it dried really quick, of the petals. With just a little bit of a deeper orangey kind of hue to it. And I'm just going to put some of that at the bottom, you know, and around kind of randomly, just to give it some more depth and texture. Just kind of more like on the underside of stuff. Just to give that dogwood some life, some depth. But it's very, to me, important to leave enough white space to make it look, and enough blue to make it look luminescent. So there, I might do another layer, but for now, I'm kind of happy with that. I'm going to remove the masking fluid from there. It's all dry now. I just used my finger and I wiped it off, made sure it was all completely off. And, you know, when doing a white chicken, you can't do white, right? So I'm picking up some more of that blue to make a perfect gray up here, so I can do some highlights and undertones. Oop, want to make sure all the goo is off of there. Okay, no more texture. And I've made some good texture in with the pen, but this chicken is quite shadowed in the bottom half there, and in the bottom side of the chicken, and around the neck. So this side of the chicken is quite shadowed. But I'm leaving this part so it looks white. And the chicken has quite the red comb to it. So this is my permanent, I think this is permanent alizarin. Or wait a minute, no, that's not permanent alizarin. I have the code on the back. Oh, it's quinacridone coral. That's red enough for what I need. Definitely red enough for what I need. Mix it up with the leftover magenta that I had in there. And I'm going to just do the comb on the top of this little hen. Perfection is not required. And a little bit of New Gamboge. I'm going to make for the beak. Oop, got too much going there. I'm not a huge super fan of the water brush because of the lack of control, but that's all right. That's all right. You just practice with it, right? And this is not for perfection. It's the brush. Do a little pick in there. You get the idea that it's a white chicken, yeah? All right. Let's take a close look at this. What else? I think I can probably pink up those leaves a little bit more. So I'm just going to get rid of the orange that's up in this palette. Hear all those chickens? We got chickens and turkeys, and it's so wonderful. I love being here. When we're in town, we get to stay with our friends, and it is just such a lovely opportunity just to be around chickens again, because that's the thing I miss the most about Sticks and Bricks. I miss the chickens from my house. So much so that at 7 o'clock, I always had an alarm that went off. And mind you, this is 4 years ago. I had an alarm that went off to say, to remind me to shut the hen house door, because up here in the Lewiston Valley in the orchards, we live, you know, it's kind of wild up here. It's a neighborhood, but we're close to all sorts of fields and whatnot. So we get a lot of skunks and possums and what are the quilled things? Porcupines, hawks, all kinds of things. Cats. And what's the other bad boy for a chicken? Oh, just your local little mass bandits. You know, they can get in there. So up around here, you have to make a chicken coop that's pretty strong. So anyway, the alarm goes off, and we've been on the road nearly 5 years now, and I still have my chicken alarm. And because of technology, I've been able to make that chicken song, you know, chicken wing, you know that song? So at 7 o'clock, no matter where I am in the country, that goes off, and it makes me so happy. So while we're here, we get to hear the sound for reals, and I love it. All right. So, I don't know, what do you think?